The village where I was born, a few kilometers from where we are now, is a ghost town today. Some time ago we walked through there and it seems even the memories have faded. I can barely recognize the rooms that served as our school, the houses of my friends where I used to play, or my home, of which nothing remains. It was near a hill and I remember it perfectly because the view from there of the small village was beautiful regardless of the weather. You could see the people, the movement, and the everyday life just like that, simply beautiful. Perhaps because of that location, we ended up knowing everything that happened. And so it was that one November afternoon, we stumbled upon a commotion, with people running from all directions toward the small square in the center. Before my mother could forbid us, my siblings and I found ourselves running toward the center, eager to know what the fuss was about. Don Diego, a drunkard from the village who had abandoned his wife years earlier, was crying desperately. At first I thought something bad had happened to him, but as I got closer through the crowd, I managed to reach him and noticed a smile lighting up his face. He was crying with joy. "I saw the Virgin on the hill," he said. And yes, his name was Diego. Don't blame me for the coincidence in the name. I tell the story exactly as it happened. People gathered around, laughed, shouted, and embraced the belief in what they heard, even if it came from a drunkard, driven by an overwhelming need to feel that finally something good was happening to us. We were a very poor village. The government didn't help us and the land had forgotten us. Something like that, or the other way around. I don't remember anymore. Don Diego was the most popular person in those days. Every day someone invited him to eat at their home, giving him everything they had. They filled him with food they didn't even have for themselves. And every night he would go back to the hill, hoping to see the Virgin again, hoping she would say something to him. But nothing happened. He never saw her again. He cared about it. We saw him again on the street, more drunk, talking to himself, until we didn't see him anymore. He left without telling anyone and without anyone missing him. One day, a priest from the neighboring villages appeared. Our church was empty. That's how poor we were. The rumor of the Virgin's apparition eventually reached a bishop, and they sent this man to pay us a visit, to calm the indigenous people, they said. He arrived with a dismissive attitude, not believing us, almost mocking us. But we weren't liars. Not even Don Diego, who could have easily invented a vision to keep eating for free and become the most important person in the village, did that. His demeanor changed when someone described the apparition, what Don Diego had recounted. It was a virgin floating in the night, without lights around, without a glow, a virgin in black. The priest left the village as quickly as he came, but this time accusing us of heresy instead of mocking us. He promised never to have a church there again because we didn't deserve it. One afternoon I saw the lightning again, people gathering. It had barely been a month since the Virgin appeared to Don Diego, and this time he was the protagonist again. Someone had found his body, dead for weeks, eaten from the chest as if a wild animal had bitten off all the organs that were important. Benito, the policeman, had to ask for help from a man with a truck to take the body to the municipal center. People started talking about the Black Virgin again, but this time with fear, understanding that what we saw wasn't an angelic or good vision. We weren't so lucky for the Virgin to visit us, but we were for something bad to take her form, the form of someone we loved dearly, to come and haunt us. Occasionally, someone claimed to see her and people got scared and they would go inside, and when that happened we went to bed early. And it wasn't long before those who saw her disappeared. Who knows if they left the village like everyone else began to do, or if she took them. The first time I saw her, I was about 8 or 9 years old. We had gone far for some errands my mom needed. My brother, friends, and I were going. We walked almost all day, and on the way back, just minutes from reaching the village, a buzzing caught our attention. Like from an animal or something. We didn't know what it was, but we started looking around, drawn in, unable to understand why. Her face was not visible, but the moment she turned towards us remains the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. We ran as fast as we could across the hill. I pulled my brother by the hand and I saw my friends until we reached the house. Pale and shaken as we were, we didn't say anything to my mom. Perhaps if we didn't talk about it, nothing would happen to us. Maybe that's why nothing did. My brother claimed to have seen her later near the house, floating very low, gazing at the village, paying no attention to him as he watched, unable to move a step due to fear. I saw her, or thought I saw her, the day we were leaving the village. We were driving away in a truck belonging to a friend of my grandfather. I gave one last look at the house, thinking it was the last time I would do so. As I scanned the hillside and then the hill, I saw a black figure. I squinted, trying to make it out, and I recognized it. Or so I think. I saw her following us along the road for a while, just as the moon seems to follow us on the horizon. Minutes later, I thought I saw her closer and had to close my eyes, convinced that when I opened them, she would no longer be there and would disappear forever. The village, as I mentioned, has long been abandoned. Back then, we didn't know things as we do now with the internet. What I'm telling you is what I remember. Perhaps I remember more than what actually happened, but I haven't added anything. What was told back then must have been the story that remained after being passed down, when details fade and others begin to be invented. And now, if anyone else remembers that story, it's surely what's left of the versions people have shared, based on how each person experienced it. I hope, at least, to have been able to tell this story well, even though I'm not used to doing so. Thank you for listening.